I'm really nervous right now. I lost my vape, so I'm gonna fucking crash out. Oh, it's right here. Hello, everybody. I'm Venus Rose, and I'm an occultist and a student of high magic for many years of my life. I have devout a good chunk of my life to studies of various forms and practices of magic and philosophy, and I feel like I'm finally at a point that I can bring my work to the internet and I can attempt to explain them to the best of my ability in a way that will make it easy to learn for you, because I understand how complicated it is to get into high magics or black magics or any old ancient traditional magic. Very complicated, and you don't really know where to start. It took me a long time to figure out where to start. I would like to preface this by saying that I am not encouraging you to do any of these practices, but I'm merely just teaching you what I know about them. And I would like to say that a great handful of high magics or black magics, or, even just intense magic in general, can be very dangerous if you're not well studied in it, if you don't have, enough knowledge on it, or if you don't have enough knowledge on magic in general. So if you do plan to participate in what I'm talking about today, or what I plan to talk about for these videos in general, please, I encourage you to study beyond what I'm talking about, and don't do any magics that you're not confident in yet. And my last precaution or preface for this video is that I'm not necessarily saying that I do these magics, but merely just saying that I have very intensely studied them. Wink, wink. So since this is my first video like this, I decided to pick a topic that I'm very passionate about. So today I will explain the study and practices of King Solomon, more specifically Solomonic magic, the best way that I can based on what I've learned over the years. I have my little notes right here. So first, what is Solomonic magic? Solomonic magic is the tradition of ritualistic magic built around the wisdom of King Solomon. Who is King Solomon, you may ask? King Solomon is a biblical figure who was said to understand the language of the spirits. This could be angels or demons. I'd like to say that none of these texts I will discuss are actually written by King Solomon, but were attributed to him centuries later. But the system itself and the history behind it is very, very real and has tons and tons of evidence and historical manuscripts behind it. Everything I'm about to say is very well documented. So where did this all start? The roots for this study start in an old story called the Testament of Solomon, which I have right here, the Testament of Solomon. This story is not a part of any Bible, but it is a separate early text within itself. So in the Testament of Solomon, King Solomon is given a ring by an angel. With this ring, he can command demons, he can learn their names, and he can instruct them to do things for him. One of the most noteworthy thing is he instructs the demons to help him build his very infamous temple. This story becomes the origin myth that somebody can learn the names and languages to command any non-human intelligence This is by learning the symbols and the rituals of these individual spirits. So let's fast forward to medieval and Renaissance times. A lot of Greek-speaking magicians and scribes of that day began to write practical manuscripts on how to summon angels, bind demons, and make protective talismans. Those manuals were later translated into Latin, Italian, and English, and soon developed into the core Solomonic books or texts that we know today, like the Greater and Lesser Keys of Solomon, which might ring a bell to you. There are many different manuscripts and books on Solomonic magic and such, but the most knowledge for this topic comes from these 3 books that I am going to explain to you right now. Right now after I hit my vape. So first of these books we have the Key of Solomon, also known as Clavicula Solomonis, also known as the Greater Key of Solomon. This book is pretty much a handbook for ritual magic in general. It tells you how to bless your tools, how to purify yourself, how to draw a protective circle, and how to make talismans. It also explains making planetary talismans, or it explains planetary timing. For example, if you're to make a Mars talisman, you would make it on a Tuesday in the hour of Mars. This book is also very full of prayers and instructions. Next we have the Lesser Key of Solomon. Sorry, the lighting in my room is horrible. I'm a very ambient person. But we have the Lesser Key of Solomon, also known as, forgive me if I pronounce this wrong, Le Megaton or Le Megaton. I don't know. Could be French. It's not French. I'm lying. It's not French. But I feel like it rolls off the tongue better with a French accent. Le Megaton. I like that. This one book is actually a collection of 5 books. The most famous of the 5 in here would be Ars Goetia. That's A-R-S. Goetia. Ars Goetia. The Ars Goetia is a list of the 72 spirits. These spirits could also be known as demons, as most would say, along with their sigils, their descriptions, their names, and an explanation of them, and their talismans, and instructions on how to call them forth into your protective circle. That circle is really important. This book right here is typically the book that people think about when you mention Solomonic magic. This is the most well-known. And if it rings a bell for you already, I think you're pretty cool. Lastly, for our 3 important books, we have the Testament of Solomon, which I spoke about prior. This book is the story of Solomon, of the angel that gave him the ring, and it's the story of how he conjures, studies and learns and understands different demons, and then he interrogates them and he binds their powers and uses their powers. He binds them with that ring, which is pretty cool. What is the goal of learning Solomonic magic? At its core, Solomonic magic is about these 3 things. The first one is ritualistic purity and devotion. All of the old texts always start with instructions like, oh wait, I actually have a quote. Let me find my quote. Instructions like, quote, fear God, be humble, purify yourself, and do everything with devotion, unquote. At the time that most of these texts were written, magic was a very suspicious thing, and so if you kind of framed it like this, framing it very pro-Bible, it kind of made the practice of magic more acceptable. So the second thing that is like a goal of learning Solomonic magic would be You get to learn about talismans and astrological timing. And I mean learn about them in depth. What are talismans, you may ask? I will tell you what a talisman is. A talisman is an engraved symbol that is blessed, and more specifically blessed at the right planetary hour. So for example, Venus, not me, Venus the planet. Venus talismans are going to be for love, or Jupiter talismans are going to be for luck and success, or Saturn talismans are going to be for protection or like new beginning. I believe it's new beginning. I'll have to check that. Maybe it's endings. I don't know, but definitely protection. And lastly, a big thing that you take away from learning about Solomonic magic is learning how to contact spirits. Not spirits like ghosts, that's a whole different can of worms, but spirits like demons and angels. This is the part that most people will recognize Solomonic magic for, is contacting or conjuring, more specifically demons. But pretty much the magician stands in the protective circle, and they call on the names of God or sacred names, and they have a little triangle where they conjure up the demon, and the demon appears. The spirit is expected to appear symbolically or visually, and to carry out tasks or demands for you. What do Solomonic rituals typically look like? Let me explain. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to prepare yourself. This is also the purification of yourself. This can appear in a way of a ritualistic bath, fasting, celibacy, praying, or meditation. I was trying to think of things. Number 2, you're going to want to prepare your tools. So this is consecrating a knife or a wand or a ring, or my favorite, a pentacle. Consecrate that hoe. And these tools are going to be marked with sacred names, and they are to only be used for magic. And you know what? Now that I showed you my really cool pentacle, I'm going to go ahead and put it back up on my altar. Ta-da! She's back where she belongs. I took it down just so I could show off my cool pentacle. Number 3, you're going to draw your circle. This is the big boy protective circle. That's super important. This circle is your safe zone. It is to be covered with sacred and divine names and symbols. This is where you are going to stand. You're going to stand inside of this circle so the demons can't get ya. It's like the sea bear circle in SpongeBob. The sea bear can't get you when you're in the circle. So make sure you're in that damn circle so the sea bears don't get you. Next, after you draw your circle, you're going to draw your triangle. That is where the spirit is going to appear or symbolically appear. 5th, invocation. Invocation is a long series of prayers, instructions, manifestations, divine names, and commands. Your invocations will often include a lot of Hebrew words, because old medieval magicians, or maybe it was Renaissance magicians, believed that Hebrew is the one true sacred language. So, as you dive into magic in general, you'll notice that a lot of old magics are very deeply rooted in Hebrew or Latin. Number 6, you're going to state your request. You're going to command it firmly, and make sure you command it in the name of the divine. And number 7, you're going to dismiss the spirit. It is highly, highly emphasized in all of the old texts that you are to dismiss the spirit respectfully, but firmly. And then you are going to do your banishing, and then you're gonna clean up and put everything away until next time. Oh wait, sorry, I got ahead of my notes. Number 8, lastly, clean up. The magician will do their closing prayers, their banishing, and then they'll put everything away. So what makes Solomonic magic unique? People often wonder how high magics would compare to Wicca, other witchcrafts, or more modern ceremonial magics. Solomonic magic and most high magics are very deeply rooted in structure, and they're very rule-based. Everything that you do is very precise and deeply studied and well thought out. And you are there to follow the rules that they tell you. You know, with a lot of high magic or black magic, there really isn't any room for a whole lot of willy-nilly. You kind of gotta be locked in. You gotta be on the bone with it. Another thing that makes it unique compared to other forms of witchcraft is that it is the art of using sacred and divine names as opposed to what I would say is energy manipulation. You know, you're not really doing it yourself. It's the art of calling in way more powerful entities to do it for you. I would say it's like taking the easy way out, but it's 10 times more complicated and dangerous than most. Which is why I don't recommend it. Unless you're very studied. Unless you know what you're doing. One thing that's really cool about Solomonic magic that I think makes it very unique is that it's a blend of Judeo-Christian mysticism with old folk magic and also astrology, which is really cool. Lastly, I would say that it is based on manuscripts. It is based on physical evidence. It's not based on oral traditions passed down through generations, or it doesn't vary based on whose opinion is who. It is based on tangible, factual evidence and historic documents. So the last topic I'm going to talk about before I have to get dressed and go to work, because I keep looking at the time and I'm getting nervous. How do modern practitioners do or study or practice Solomonic magic? Or how do they interpret it? In the early 1900s, very famous occultists like S.L. McGregor Mathers and Aleister Crowley liked to, they translated the manuscripts into what we have now, and they published these translations of the old Solomonic texts. So to introduce like a semi-modern perspective of it, Crowley even said in his translations of these old texts that the demons can appear, you know, literally, or they can just be like a psychological, symbolic thing, and that they might not be literal demons materializing at all. So a more recent interpretation of this would be by scholars like Stephen Skinner and David Rankine. I've never had to say these people's names before, so sorry guys, sorry bros. But pretty much these two scholars have studied the manuscripts and came to recent developments that they might be from Greek, Byzantine, or Renaissance magical traditions. So pretty much what I'm saying is people today approach Solomonic magic with many different lenses. Some treat it as literal spirit work, others treat it as historical context, some treat it as psychologic or symbolic work, while others use it for only the talismanic reasons, like making the talismans, and not for the evoking spirits reasons. There's a bunch of different ways that people nowadays approach this subject, and all of these are to be considered as modern Solomonic traditions. So to wrap this up so I can go to work, I just wanted to say that if you are interested in this topic, go ahead and take a gander into these books that I recommended. Oh wait, there's 3 of them. I don't know where the 3rd one went. Take a gander into these books and learn more, only if you are interested. There is so much that I did not discuss because I feel that I'm not quite knowledgeable to touch on those subjects yet. There's also so much beyond anything that I explained when you dive into this topic, and it's really cool and really interesting to learn about. And if you've made it this far into my video and you're not asleep, thank you, and tell me how you feel. Give me your feedback and tell me what you want me to cover next time, and if I feel confident in covering that topic, I will. Or maybe no one will watch this at all. I don't know. I'm mainly doing this for me. Little video diaries. Thank you for watching, and good night.